Anton hat Appetit auf Anis. Arnold hat Appetit auf Ameisen. I'm back in action. Hello everybody and welcome back to the Life in Germany channel. Today is really exciting for me because I'm officially postpartum. I gave birth 2 weeks ago. Baby Mila is doing wonderful and I promise you I will be introducing you to my beautiful little baby shortly, and I did manage to take some footage at the hospital and my whole experience, so I will share that with you guys as well. But today we're going to be talking about German books, specifically German's children books that are going to help you learn the German language really fast. But why am I going to be sharing you mostly children's books? I find that learning the language via a German textbook is sometimes just so overwhelming. So I actually found that after having a child, reading him German books actually really helped. Of course, I always say, let Papa read the German books. He's the one that speaks German. And then he goes, Mama, you read the German books better. So I'm honored, but I know it's better to be reading him English books as a native English speaker. Nonetheless, these books are not only good for kids, they are also amazing for adults who are also trying to learn the German language. If you haven't noticed, children's books are actually super repetitive. That's so that the children can actually ingrain this content in their brain and actually be able to read aloud. Many children's books are actually made for the child and the parent to actually read aloud, which allows you to also practice actually speaking while you're reading the book. Not to mention, children's books are easy. Whether you want to believe it or not, we are also at a very young level when we are learning German. My son and I are pretty much on the same level now, and he's correcting my German, which I find really neat. And of course, these books are actually made for native speakers. So although they're not geared towards those of us learning German, it is extremely helpful to actually read books that are geared for native Germans so that we can actually understand, okay, how do native Germans actually read and learn? You know, they learn, of course, via textbook in school, but after school, how do they learn how to respond and reciprocate with others? So before we jump into it, I would like to thank today's sponsor, which is Blinkist. For those of you who haven't heard of Blinkist, have you ever heard of Spark Notes? Do you remember back in high school, spark noting all of the Shakespeare books you were supposed to read? Blinkist is like Spark Notes, but next generation. Basically, it allows you to grab the key points or key ideas from over 5,500 nonfiction bestsellers. I've actually been using the platform for a few years now, and they actually have some of my favorite work-life balance books like The 4-Hour Workweek, Launch, The Company of One. So if you would like to join 23 million others who are growing with Blinkist, I've got a 25% off discount for you guys down in the description below in the pinned comments for their Blinkist annual premium subscription. And you can also take a 7-day free trial if you want to take it for a test run first. Plus, even more exciting news, Blinkist has actually just launched their Blinkist Connect feature, which allows premium members to actually share their account with one other person entirely free of charge. That person will actually gain access to their own premium account, have their own premium subscription, just like you, absolutely free. Let's take it back a step and talk about some of those awesome German kids books that will help you learn the German language super fast. Lese Maus. They actually also have a TV show, which I think is super cute, but my son fell in love with the Lese Maus books, and in general, they're quite easy to read. They're also not too short, so it's not like 8 pages where it says like, see, spot, run. You know what I mean? It's actual sentences, and the stories base themselves on plots that are also very similar to how you might be living your life in Germany. So, for example, Lese Maus will nicht zum Arzt. He doesn't want to go to the doctor. So then you learn like other little terms, Wartezimmer, Krankenschwester, which really helped me when I started learning German. So you can see the text here. It's not super short, but it's also not extremely long, but the story itself does have quite a good plot. You might have also noticed that those were super tiny. They actually do have bigger Lese Maus books, but what my son and I really love here in Germany is these Pixi Büchern. So you can actually see the logo right here. The Pixi Büchern are basically €1 or 99 cents. You can get them at many different stores, grocery stores, bookstores, sometimes Cody or some of the cheaper discount stores, and they will typically be in like this little bowl up at the front of the counter. They're really good to travel with. But for those of us who are also learning German, I find these really practical because it's not like you're gonna didn't want to be in the train with like a massive kids book and pull it out and start reading it, so everybody's looking at you being like, why is she reading a German kids book? And once you've really gone through a book, you can just donate it. Some of the stories are longer, some of them are shorter. I have like Der Kleine Rabesocke, and there's actually 2 stories in this one. You will have lots of opportunity to practice your German language with these tiny little Pixi Büchern. Okay, you can tell that these are probably some of our favorite books here, and that is our Max books. This is actually from Lese Maus, as you can see here. They are recommended by the Stiftung Lesentest. My son's name is Max, so we collect all of the Max books. But Lese Maus is not just the Max books. There's also, for example, Connie is also one of the Lese Maus books as well. This one's in the Pixi book. However, they do have a lot of Connie books with Lese Maus as well. Similar to Lausemaus or any of the Pixi Büchern, these stories, they're not short, but they're also not long, but they're also simple to understand. They're also not that expensive. These ones are about €4 a book, but you can see here that there's a decent amount of text. And the topics, it's situations that kids and us as expats and immigrants go through on a daily basis. I'm not gonna lie, these books drive me bonkers, but they are really, really helpful. These are the Wieso, Weshalb, Warum books. Kids have hundreds and thousands of questions, and these books are supposed to help with that and get them to learn about really unique and individual aspects of life. For example, this one is Wenn es dunkel wird. So when it gets dark at night, you know, what happens? Who sleeps at night and who stays awake? Why are there people that stay awake at night? And you learn a lot of basic words as well. So there are tons and tons of different books from Wieso, Weshalb, Warum that I would definitely recommend checking out. Next up on my list is the TipToi books. Have you ever seen this pen? This pen is from Ravensburger. They have different books, different puzzles, different games that you can actually use this pen with. Now, this is one of the books that we have. The kids are able to then go through and actually use the pen and tap on it and get them to say different things.
The plane is landing. Das Flugzeug landet. Es kommt aus Deutschland. Das kann man an der deutschen Flagge erkennen.
So you can see in this book particularly, they are speaking English and then they translate it directly to German, which could also help you as well. But I really like the idea of using the TipToi to actually learn German because you hear the way that things are actually said as well. So you're not stuck, you know, reading a book and being like, am I saying that right? The pen is actually going to read it to you in German or tell you stories in German. Very simple German that you can hopefully also understand and get to learn a bit more of the vocabulary this way. Now, another one I also want to recommend is any of the Grimm fairy tales, really. A Märchen book in German is what you would be looking for. So a book of fairy tales. There is some in the difficult German language and some in a very leicht Sprache. To be honest, the Grimm fairy tales, they are old, you know, they're from German history and they have some really intense stories, some of them a little bit too scary for my liking, but the newer versions with the Leichte Sprache make every fairy tale a lot easier to understand and a lot easier to read. So if you want to check out any of the Grimm fairy tale books as well, I just recommend looking for one that offers a leicht Sprache, so an easy German, an easy language, and I will post some recommendations that I have down below as well. Now let's get into some that you guys might actually recognize. What about The Very Hungry Caterpillar? This one is a favorite. It is a classic in North America. They also have it here in Germany. So I think reading books that have been translated from English into German also really helps because you already know the story plot. The Very Hungry Caterpillar in German is called Die Kleine Raupe Nimmersatt. They also have YouTube videos on it as well, so you can listen to it in German there too. Similarly, you've also got The Gruffalo or Der Gruffalo by Julia Donaldson. Probably all of you know about this book. You've probably also heard of Julia Donaldson. She also has many other amazing books like The Snail and the Whale or Room on the Broom, and these have actually been translated into German as well. I'm not sure if you've ever seen these. These are by an author named Nadia Budde, I believe you'd say it. They are like tongue twisters. They are quite difficult, so I wouldn't say to make these your first German books, but once you've got an understanding of the vocabulary, actually learning how to pronounce these words and how to say them and getting into these crazy tongue twisters like trauriger Tiger toasted Tomaten, it's actually going to really help your pronunciation in the German language. This one specifically goes through your ABC ABCs. There are tons of German words with the letter A, like Anton hat Appetit auf Anis. Arnold hat Appetit auf Ameisen. And they go through every single letter of the alphabet. This is one of my son's favorite books and I have a lot of fun reading it too. And lastly, a German classic, Der Maulwurf Grabowski. Try to say that word. This is a very, very cute book. It is a difficult book to read. It is in, I believe you call it Präteritum. Is it Präteritum? Like, let me give you an example here. Wenn die Lichter in der Nähenstadt aufleuchteten. I don't speak like this. I don't know anybody who speaks like this, but this is something that you're gonna have to learn in German class. So I actually use this book to teach myself how to speak in, I hope I'm using the right word, Präteritum. Yeah, it makes it a little bit easier for you. The story is super cute, and like I said, it is an absolute classic. So I hope that helps. I hope that gets you started learning a little bit more German. I also have some more tips for you on how to learn German really, really fast. I've got movie tips and I've got tips on how to make yourself a little less shy, and I hope that all of these really help you jump on board with the German language and feel comfortable actually heading out into the streets and talking with some of the locals. Vielen, vielen lieben Dank und wie immer, bis später.